Today we have two very special guests with us. We have Raunak Parekh from Parekh Ornaments and Aarj Jain from Siddhi Jewels. One of the biggest problems I see in the family business space is a centralized face value. Why is the earlier generation not willing to decentralize, not willing to give away their decision making powers or the ability?
I think it's a part of cultural shock.
In general, when somebody who is just a jeweller's son, for example, or a jeweller's daughter, for example, and say she wants to enter the business, what should ideally be the approach?
First, start with what you really think you can do and you're confident in, rather than trying to do things that you're unsure about.
What do you see has been the challenges in the last 5-7 years?
Our sales team is now only selling the product. They are not selling the product with any story or emotion. And the new generation who is coming to buy, they want a story attached to the product.
Do you see that they have also done their research a lot online before they step into your store?
Yes, 100% yes. They will check other jewelers also.
Which department was the most challenging?
The first was sales, and I have already told. Second is HR, I would say, recruitment. Your team is everything.
So basically that's exactly where the family business is not the problem, but the people inside the family business who are working for a decade, 2 decades, they sometimes get that complexity that okay, this fellow is just come in and he's going to rule, and now I'm not comfortable with the culture which is going to be set. Like, it's a very sensitive thing. Have you faced any of this?
No, not really.
That's really good. Yeah.
No, I think that happened with me on day 0. Not even day 1.
Hello everyone. So welcome to the third episode of the Learnathon Podcast. Today we have two very special guests with us. We have Raunak Parekh from Parekh Ornaments and Aarj Jain from Siddhi Jewels. And the best part is both of them are JK alumni, and we have more common things among themselves. They both joined their family business, which is the theme of today's podcast, joining a family business, especially a jewelry business. So I'm putting it out there for you all first to introduce yourselves. Aarj, we can start with you. Tell us brief background about yourself, from your learning journey to your masters to what you experienced outside India and what you're bringing in from your experience to your business.
I would just like to start by introducing myself, like you said. So my name is Aarj, and I moved back to India about 3 months back. So it's not been a very, very long time for me here. As far as my journey is concerned, I am an engineer, and then I'm a marketer. From there, I went on to becoming a jeweler. And in between, the journey's been kind of a very, very different one. Like you said, studying abroad was a big part of me. And the one thing that I learned at JK when I pursued my course in grading and designing there was the 4 C's, which is something that everybody learns. But the 5th C, which is customer is king, was taught to me by Ireland, where I pursued my master's and also worked for about 3 years. So we probably dive deeper into the journey as the podcast goes ahead.
I want to get deeper right now only. So, for example, we've been emphasizing on a lot of practical training. Like, the reason I called you guys was because even when on campus we had the entire conference kind of atmosphere, we were not always just doing a learning session. It was more like a discussion session. We were talking about business, market experiences, buying. Similarly, you decided to not only do your masters, but you decided to not come back immediately after. So thought process behind that. And was it anything to do with, the pressure of joining business or anything like that? Or it was you independently wanted to experience something outside?
This might sound diplomatic, but I think it was a mix of both. Firstly, obviously, when you are asked to take over a legacy business in a way where, you're like the 4th generation in the business, it does freak you out a little bit. It's supposed to. But I think from there, the perspective kind of shifted when I actually started to understand the Western world better, to say that maybe, working here would actually open me up in many ways than I thought, which is what it did, to be very honest, in terms of the culture with regards to work and how people manage their personal lives. with regards to the stories I have to share now, again, with regards to work and my personal life. But then when I bring all of those things back from that Western part of the world back to India, I think the difference is massive with regards to, like I said, the culture, the work ethic, the everything that people do here is differently, which is something that was kind of a shocker for me when I actually entered the office on the first couple of weeks. But you get used to it. And I think that's what the whole journey is all about.
Are you trying to bring that culture here if possible?
In a few ways, yes, especially the aspect of operational efficiency. I think that's one aspect that I definitely see that not just like my workplace, but the industry overall kind of misses in many ways. And I think I am an extremely tech savvy person. And I think that's one aspect where I really, really want to, focus on and bring value to the business. Because I think the blend of how businesses work here, where I was in core sales, for example, when I was there. And I think the biggest focus for me there was having an organized sales pipeline, having a CRM where I can manage all my data, and so on and so forth. Nobody talks about CRMs here.
Yeah. I think everybody has CRM.
I don't think so, because especially in the B2B side of things, I don't see a lot of people talk about it. Maybe in B2C they do. In B2B, I don't hear a lot of people talk about CRMs. And also, the sales efficiency side of things. For example, this concept of ROSE, which is very, very popular in the West. It's return on sales effort, as an example. आप कितना एफर्ट डाल रहे हो एक 10 लाख का सेल क्लोज करने के लिए. अगर आप सेम एफर्ट डाल रहे हो टू क्लोज अ सेल दैट्स 100,000 rupees and you're putting in the same effort to do 10 lakhs, then you're doing something wrong, because that's not how it's supposed to be.
True.
So just those operational changes is something that I'm personally focusing on.
Nice. These are very good points. We're going to circle back to these again. But Raunak, you can start off.
So, hi, my name is Raunak Parekh, and I've done my graduation from Mitipai, and then I went to London for my master's. And after that, I've joined my family business, which was around 7 years back. And then I joined JK at 2017. I did my JK and then the diamond course over there, the color stone course over there. And then I joined my family business. The culture is very different back in UK. And here it's very different. I think CRM, again, I would like to join that part. B2C, they have already started long years back, I feel. But yeah, definitely, we have to get few things from, the study that I have done over there. The systems, the productivity that the free mind of doing business. If we are into creative business, then we need something, that same points over in our business.
So what have you done that made some form of, that moved the needle the most?
So there were few issues that after joining a family business. First is the slow decision making, that you have to, change it. And if you want to compete with the other players in retail, and every year the things are changing in our industry. Secondly, it was emotions take over logic in business operations, I would say. So that was also a key sector in family business. Whenever we sit down on a table, emotions come in between and not logic of doing things. Third thing was hierarchies are very rigid, I feel. You need to change the complete systems in your business, and you have to align things. You need to delegate things. That is not then a family business. They do everything by themselves. And I think it's everybody knows this, but nobody is taking actions. They don't want to align things. They don't want to get into that kind of format, I feel. And the sale techniques, I feel. Again, every year it's changing. So I think every 6 months it's changing. You have to be updated. You need to know all new things, whatever it's happening. You need to follow what's going around the globe, not just in India. And I feel people are more attracted towards things which are happening outside rather than in India. So you need to adapt those things, and you need to, start putting in inputs.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems I see in the family business space is a centralized face value. One is centralized decision making. The other thing is the person who has started it, or the person who is there, जो गद्दी में बैठे हैं for 30 years, 40 years, right? They have created a face value, and that becomes their brand value. The moment that face is not visible, customers also are looking around for them. Like a lot of times it happens that the son is sitting in place of the father, or the daughter is sitting in place of the father, and the customer is coming to the shop and like कि, एक बार पापा से मिल लेते हैं."
बराबर.
that kind of thing. So why is this there? Why is the earlier generation not willing to decentralize, not willing to give away their decision making powers or the ability?
I think it's a part of cultural shock, I would say. So there is very less acceptance that what the generation ahead of us have created, that we will be able to carry on, first of all. And I think it's there in most of the Indian families. And there are few families definitely who I was leveraged. I was like, you do whatever you want to do. I think I was the odd one out. And we did good. Second thing is always there that he's the son of this and this. He's there. That will always be there. But this cultural shock has to be changed. There has to be a good change where people should know the brand and not the person who is sitting behind, so that the legacy is continued. So Kalyan is not known for his owner. TVZ Tanishq is not known for his owner. Malabar is not known for who's the owner. I think 99% of the people don't even know who's the owner, but their brand speaks.
Yeah.
So we have to work like a corporate. We have to think like a corporate, and we need to get this cultural change, which is very important, I feel.
How do you go about this change? So before you answer that, like one thing is that you're coming from a retail setup, right? You're coming from a manufacturing setup. For you, usually the customer is coming to you. Obviously, it's not so hard to bring in new customers, but eventually the customer is coming to the shop, coming to this thing. In your case, a lot of times you have to go to the customer. So tell me that perspective first. Like what he faces, do you face something similar in your space?
It is definitely very similar because, like Raunak highlighted, I think the aspect of the face value being associated first and then the name of the brand coming in. I think it's one of those things, I think at retail stores, for example, as well. Okay, like my family comes from a retail background and now they're in manufacturing. So I think what I have seen so far on my front is when someone sees your father, okay, the audience that's entering the store is also a generational audience. So for example, someone's grandfather was a customer and then their father was a customer and then so on and so forth. Now they've associated that brand to one person already, right? So if that particular person's going there, he's like, yeah, speak to Ritesh bhai, he'll be there, he'll help you out. But like Raunak again said that, the brands that are out there in the market, people more or less don't know who the owner is. What they really care about is the credibility and trust that brands kind of left in its voice. But when you run yourself not as a corporate but as a family business, I think it really kind of puts you in a position where people know the person and not the brand. With B2B, what's slightly different is that they still associate you to the face value, but here you have more opportunity to kind of, go to them and be like, look, I'm new here, I'm still learning, but I have this to present, which makes it so much easier, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the slight shift in the dial where you kind of have a little bit of an advantage there. I can just go back to the existing customers as well as new ones and say that, look, this is something new that I am trying on my front, okay? And I just want you to, look at it and give me your feedback. What do you think of this?
Build a connect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also this is somewhere for a short duration. Once you spend, say, a decade in business, I think those notions also start going away, for your existing customers. Coming back to the entire, entry into a family business. Like in general, when somebody who is just a jeweller's son, for example, or a jeweller's daughter, for example, and say she wants to enter the business, but it's very difficult for her to get something to be done independently. What should ideally be the approach? What have you all tried? You are still going to try. What have you tried to at least get something done? Or has it always been, okay, go to the earlier generation, do a little bit tutu meme, try this, try that, okay, try this, okay, didn't work, try this. Did that happen? Or there was a little bit of a systematic approach?
I think whoever is into family business, this is happening to him. It can never be easy that I went to my father, okay, you do it. There will be discussions because it's not just a single person. there might be multiple person in family business, and you might have to take approvals from everyone because you directly can't start, I feel. Second thing, the discussion can be more systematic. Again, what I've told earlier, they believe something more emotional part, and they don't see the logic and numbers, I feel. And now the new generation has come up with, they believe in numbers, I feel. Data, numbers, the customer relation that you're having. And so they believe more in that and they speak accordingly. And they are a little worried about if something goes wrong, the reputation, everything. So this thing is always there.
What is your take?
I think on my end, it was a tad bit different because I entered the business with the perspective where I am just going to first be a very, very self-aware person and start with what I know I do best. And again, getting stuff back from what I learned working in tech and the SaaS industry for 3 years was I love talking to people.
So marketing and sales.
So I started playing with what I know and what I do best, and at the same time started learning about what I don't, which is the production side of things, the finance side of things, and so on and so forth. Because what really happens is that when someone enters the family business, and I think I learned this really early on because, I kind of contemplated too much over it before I came in, and it kind of worked for me in the past 3 months, I can say so, is that first start with what you really think you can do and you're confident in rather than trying to do things that you're unsure about. So that worked for me is that I straight up got into sales. In the last 3 months, I've probably sat in the office for about a month. Rest of it is just touring India with goods. And just door-to-door selling, do the grunt work in a way.
Yeah, ground level.
Which is, I think, the best way to go about it, just knocking doors of random people and existing customers and going like, look, I have this. This is what we do. This is my elevator pitch. That's my value proposition. Do you want it? Keep it simple, right?
Nice.
And because of the experience I've had in the past, rejection doesn't break me anymore. So you're still humble because you know that they're going to say no and you go in with that perspective. But when they do say yes, I go outside the store for a minute. I call my dad and I'm like, Dad, haan bol diya isne. And then I go back in. Right?
Nice.
And that's a different kind of confidence that you gain to invest into other areas of the business and learn more.
What a value bomb, rejection doesn't affect you anymore. Like that really should be out there, for everybody, especially in sales. Should be out there. I
No,
think.
100%. I think the one thing that I've started to do with the sales team here is cold calling. It's kind of dead now, is
No,
what
not
everybody
really,
says.
But yeah.
But I think that's something that we are trying to do here, because it's a bit of a zag as compared to the zigs that everybody are doing on social media and everything else. So that's something that, people are looking at. And then the team's always like, कोई फोन ही नहीं उठा रहा है, कोई आंसर ही नहीं कर रहा है, लोग मुंह पे फोन काट रहे हैं. I'm like 3 बार काटेंगे ना, चौथी बार सुनेंगे तो क्या बोल रहा है.
I think 6 or 7 is the magic number. No?
7 is the magic number.
7 is the you try 6 times, the 7th time you try, you'll definitely get it. तो उधर तक तो करना ही है.
100%.
Somewhere I also share the same opinion, but in a different way. Like one of the things that I feel is the main reason why we don't get the independence is their baby. They treat a business as their baby. Just as
True.
you are probably say 25, 30 year old. Same way that business is also that or even more. So yeah, if it's like a 3rd generation, 4th generation business, then it's far ahead of that. So it's their baby. So they're going to be as protective about that business as well as you.
And that's where I think, Raunak, that you mentioned about the emotional aspect of it comes in from.
It's a mixed emotion, I feel.
Yeah. So it's not their fault. Like
It's
somewhere
not their
it's
fault,
not their
definitely.
fault. But one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is one of the methods to do this is what he said. Find your core,
Find the core.
remove it from the business. Like let the business run on its own.
Yes.
And usually marketing is the best department to take forward because that generation does not understand today's marketing. They don't understand data analytics. They don't understand how the algorithms work. They don't understand social, digital, Meta, Google. They don't know all these things. So the easiest way to start entering a family business is marketing. Take control of marketing independently. Let it not be integrated into the business yet. You figure out what you have to do. You figure out the website, the digital platforms. If you are running, say, an e-commerce store, bring that. Like, do it a little bit independently and then integrate into the business, उनको लगेगा कि बच्चे में दम है.
So actually, this is what have happened, and this
Nice.
is what I have been doing for past 5 years, 7 years, I would say. And then slowly now I have left sales because I think everything is more streamlined, and now I don't need to go more in sales. And now just we are going behind business formation and expansion rapidly, and not sales anymore. But yeah, this was a good 5 to 7 years old
Yeah.
journey that I have been doing it. And, we did well, I feel.
Yeah, that's really good to know. And I think it's your brand is pretty reputed, so
Yeah.
like it's out there to even judge bahar se also. Yeah, so interesting aspect. Now, as you said that okay, you streamline these things. So we also need to understand it's a process.
It's a process.
It's not like somebody will come and within 1-2 years they will be able to run the business, right? So coming back to the challenges, what do you see has been the challenges in the last 5-7 years, and what do you see have been the challenges that you're yet to identify? Where do you foresee those aspects?
So on the market basis or as a joint family business? Or
Both.
business, joint family business, I would say the new things. Every time, you have to come up with new idea. There's a discussion. We had a word earlier also. So whatever we try to implement, it's kind of totally opposite, which they have not done, which is now according to the new generation, the new corporate. So there will be always a discussion on that thing again. As per the market, I would say every 6 months everything is changing. You need to be very creative. You need to be organized with your stock. You cannot overstock because after this season this will change. So you need to be very particular about your customer services, about your stock. Even with customers, you have to have a very daily follow-ups. If you lose out on customer, if you don't call her, if you don't take follow-ups, then sorry, you lost your customer. You will not have any conversion. I think a good conversion rate is around 70% for a retailer. Out of 170%, if someone is coming in, it's an amazing number, I would say, as for the bridal. And the small products, you should have at least 80 to 90%.
Are you hitting those KPIs?
We are trying. We're almost there, I feel.
Nice.
We're almost there, but we are trying. Again, the customer, they want an emotional aspect as well. Our sales team is now only selling the product. They are not selling the product with any story or emotion. And the new generation who is coming to buy, they want a story attached to the product. They want an emotion, and you need to create that. Then only you will have 100% conversion for the product.
You nailed it with that, yeah.
So it's I think it's very important that a sales team is standing and they're just selling. It will not work now in future. You need to be very fast. They don't have time to wait. They don't have patience. The new generation. If earlier they used to chit chat or show the working would take around 5-10 minutes to show कि इसका इतना हिसाब हुआ इसका इतना है, that will not work. You need to be on your tabs. You need to scan. You need to show. You need to wrap up things within 1 minute for your billings and everything. You need to be that quick. Otherwise, they will say, आप pack करके घर पे भिजवा देना. So they don't have time. They don't have patience. You need to be quick.
But even in their buying experience, you're seeing that they don't chit chat.
The young generation, professionals, yes. Family business one, they are open to talk. But the professionals, they are not really, because I think they are very short on time and they have other things more to do as well. And this is with majority.
When you say young generation, what age group are you talking about?
Below 35, 40. And now everyone is independent. I see brides coming for shopping alone and not with their parents. This is what we have started seeing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they have the budget. आपको इतने का लेना है आपको, you can buy this much.
What I've also seen is under 35 years, but under 30, people are extremely fast and impatient. The ones who have disposable income,
Yes.
they are slow.
Is
that true, or is that
it is? But jewelry industry is someone is stepping into the store. I think he's had the mindset to buy. He has money and he will buy if he likes the design.
Do you see that they have also done their research a lot online before they step into your store?
Yes, 100% yes. They will. They will check other jewelers also. They will check your marketing, whatever you do. Suppose someone will come through newspapers or digital marketing, your commute ads or pamphlets, or billboards, anything. Everything is working. I would say not just the digital marketing, but everything now is doing well. So you need to be active, and the customer will do good research on you. They will see the reviews, they will see everything, and then they will step in if it's a new customer.
Okay, coming to you. So same thing, what I asked him.
I think the storytelling part, I think that's something that I absolutely am a big believer of.
How do you do that in B2B?
So I think that's one thing that I've noticed, okay, is you need to make it easier for your customer to sell to their customer,
Nice. Yeah.
right? So, like for example, we work with a lot of corporates out there, okay, including the likes of Joy Alucas, Josco, Francis, all of the Alucas family and everyone. And the team that we work there with, they focus on a lot of metrics as a corporate, okay, but the ideation of the design is coming from me. And if I make it easier for them to present it to their customers to say ki, look, this particular collection is called as Ocean for XYZ reasons. This is what it depicts about you and your personality, and that is why you should get it for yourself. Rather than be like, this is 20 cents, 3 grams, go for your life. That's that. Sounds so much better, right? So right now we are kind of focusing on, making storytelling kind of seem normal to customers in a way where in the next 3 years, I want customers to talk about our products with our collection names, to say that, look, can you send me a few catalogs for Ocean and Sun as an example?
So do these corporates also retain the collection names, or they repackage it into something else? Like, how does it work?
I'm not going to name them, but some of them do. Maybe they will have their own branding and merchandisers working on it for obvious reasons, because, we've just kind of put in a standalone effort to prepare a collection or a catalog for them. But on the other end, they have to manage their entire branding and color and everything from the brand itself and get it in here. But the concept, it never dies. So they will still take the concept from you and they'll present it. And you've just made their life so much easier, right? And we also go to the extent of talking to the purchase managers to say, ki, why don't you talk to your sales team on the ground, on your town hall, to say that this particular collection's out there and this is how you can kind of present it to customers. And believe it or not, we've seen difference in the kind of shelf time of the product as well.
Nice.
Like we do see the difference.
So do you try to follow the same approach for your non-corporate clients? Because that is where I feel they are more of the ones that they are talking about grammage and purity and what is the total weight of the diamonds, the ratio of diamond compared to gold, all those aspects.
So with them, we do present them the collection side of things, okay? But then again, it also puts us in a position where the product that we make is extremely light, okay? So it's basically pendant sets ranging between 20 cents, 30 cents, and really less gold weight as well. So with them, they are basically not our volume buyers in a way. So then our kind of economics works in a way where I need to sell 30 pieces of one design and not 30 pieces of 30 different designs. Right. But again, with those customers, there's other approaches that we take where there's like all the single standalone independent retail stores that we work with. We'd kind of promote them to go like, why aren't you selling this particular product on MRP? Right. Because this is like a price point of 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 rupees, right? And people are kind of buying stuff worth 1 lakh, 1.5 lakhs online. They're buying a phone online, which is a depreciating asset, right? So you can sell this in store for 50,000 rupees as an MRP tag, right? So that's how we are promoting it to them.
So a subtle storytelling, not too much.
Not exactly like the branding subtle storytelling.
Makes sense. So now coming back to the aspect of, the challenges that you see, when you spoke about how you have streamlined the sales part and then now you can go out of it and focus on expansion. What are those pillars that you set that it is streamlined? Like, is it that some other family member is managing, or is it that now you've reached a stage where it's getting professionally run?
So it's definitely professionally run. The team is handling. Suppose we have 10 type of different stock. Which stock or which kind of category product is doing well? What is the stock kept in that, how many kgs and how many turnarounds we have, what is the profit margins we have in that particular category. So we analyze that and we push that more. And if some category is not doing well, we try to identify the error, what is happening, why is it not doing well, is it not running in our area, our market, how can we push it, what changes can we get, we try to identify, we work on it. Second thing, the customer relation, this is the first part of sales, I would say. And the second part of the sales, I would consider the customer relationship, how you can better it, how you can improvise it, merchandising, displays, everything is included in that. So we have a separate team for that as well. The third would be the training programs for the sales team. You need to be updated. If you're getting a new product, the new product should be told to all the sales team how you should sell it. You should get ideas from them also, that we can sell it in this particular way, and that is shared with all other people as well. There are many more factors like this that we have a discussion. We keep on once in a month we try to keep this, and then we try and push ourselves in sales. And now the core team is set up in this thing, and now we are focusing on other things.
Nice. That is such an important point because so when you say that the training of sales team and they need to be told how to sell this particular product, that is going away from the typical sales of trying to sell the products, trying to talk about just the 4Cs, because now we know that the market has moved far beyond just product knowledge. You have to interrogate the customer, bring them into an emotional zone, and then let them take a decision.
The term half knowledge is dangerous. It's very right.
Exactly.
And now the generation ahead, they want clarity on everything. They will not accept anything wrong, and you need to give them everything possible. Your terms, your systems, transparency, everything should be at the best. If you're giving something, you need to even better it next year. What you will do next year, you have to be a step more ahead the coming years. So you have to always think for the customer first, I would say.
I'm just curious here. I have a very tiny little question here. Is in terms of the part that you mentioned where we are guiding the sales team to sell up a certain product a certain way. What should kind of be a presentation? How do you approach the whole conversation with the customer? But again, you said that customers are very well aware of a lot of things than they were probably a decade back, I'd say.
100%.
Right. In that case, there's obviously a lot of objections that you have to deal with as a salesperson on the team, right? So for that, is like the kind of training or the kind of sales team that you're hiring, does that also change?
So there are two logics behind this thing. This is where the experience salespeople plays a good role in this. They know how to deal with it, and with a polished manner of the new learnings that I have got of sales, I would say the mixture is amazing. The second thing is that how you can your systems that you are developing, so it gets easier, I feel. So if there is any loophole in your systems, then it's a mess again. So you have to again work on it.
I think a lot of people follow this checkpoint way of sales, like in terms of, the customer is reacting in a particular way. Okay, now let's get them to this. Okay, they are reacting in a particular way. Okay, now I think they're ready for sale. Now let's go for it.
So like in tech sales, we used to have like these cheat sheets in front of us all the time when we were cold calling people or we were talking to customers on a video call, where if he says X, this is your get out of jail card is what they used to call it, So I think that's one thing that I personally want to learn in this side of the industry as well, because if these guys are being thrown certain objections, naturally, eventually it's going to come to me someday because it's an entire circle, right? So just knowing what the end consumer is kind of asking or questioning or objecting about helps us do better on the forefront.
Even we have the conversion which are not happening. We try and identify where the problem is and we try and work on it. So we have a checkpoints, as you have told. So we work on that, whatever the issues are, why the customer left, what is that he is wanting, what kind of product, what kind of service, did he not like it, any XYZ issues. We try and resolve it and we try and better the experience that customer has. And I think he's buying a luxury because of the gold prices now. Yeah. So he deserves it.
Now, in terms of challenges, this is not specifically related to a family business, but in general, a traditionally run business who everybody now today across the country, I think all jewelers know that they need to modernize. They know that they need to bring in a little bit of tech. But what about the people and the people who will run the show? Because now we are moving towards a decentralized way of functioning. So let's cover 2 to 3 challenges that each of you faced into doing that. Like which department was the most challenging, be it hiring, be it marketing, be it brand building. What is it that y'all are facing or y'all were facing and you resolved it? What aspects that you experienced yourself?
If you are running a business, you will always face challenges, and some things can never be resolved, I feel. Solution and a step forward can be there for that particular problem, I would say. But yeah, the three major was turnaround that for us. What definitely the first was sales, that I have already told. Second is HR, I would say, recruitment. Your team is everything.
You still facing that issue?
Yeah, it's always there. And you always want more because your business is expanding. So it will be a never ending process, I feel. Because now the current team, what we have, it's amazing, we are doing good. But our business is expanding. We need more team. We need more players. We need good ones. And we need loyal people, which is the main issue that everyone has. Third thing is, again, regarding the purchase department. How you can have good new products. They always have easy process that we are working with this particular person and you always want to work with him also. My idea is if you don't get new products on board, you will not attract new customers. Either the manufacturer has to be updated. He has to, every 6 months or a year, he has to develop something new as per the new customer demands, or we have to find new options, other options. So always they have to be on their feet. They have to keep searching. The price point should match. The quality should match. The quality check should be up to dated. The payment terms, XYZ.
But out of these challenges, what is it that is coming on to the family? What is it that is coming on to you? Or are there people who are already taking care of these challenges?
Not really. First, in family business at our office, I would say, one person used to do everything. Or probably 2% used to do everything. Everything was very unorganized. So the second generation need to, create changes in the business. He needs to develop it. He needs to have a rapid changes, whatever it is. And that would be kind of totally opposite what they have been doing. So again, it's always a discussion point which is there.
So even basic hiring, maybe discussion point.
It's always there. The salary packages now are crazy. The earlier they used to work with men's and now they want saleswomen in the business, which is very important. Salary packages are there. What benefits do you give? The working hours. The number of benefits that you are giving to your client, you need to give to your team also. The number of benefits that you are giving to your clients, I think you need to give more to your team members. Then only they will stick to you and they are the people who are running your business.
True. But my concern here is don't you think these things eventually shouldn't come on you and there would be systems in place to take care of these things, including hiring, including, say, purchasing?
So if I am trying to get a new system, I might have to do it myself at start.
Yeah.
And then slowly we can have a core team for everything. So now our business is so organized that we don't need to do anything. Everything is core team and the core team just reports to us for everything. Now everything is in system, but it takes time. Minimum turnaround for any business, family business, is around 5 to 7 years, I would say. Nothing can be done in 2 to 3 years. It's not possible.
That also 7
it's
is
not
the
possible.
figure.
If you push hard 5 to 7 years, then it can be done, I would say. And if you are doing below that, it's a miracle, I would say.
True. Like we always say that it takes 3 years to even understand the industry.
Exactly.
And the next 4 years for you to set all your systems. And from the 7th year or 8th year, the scale will start coming.
But the generation above you should be open to that. My parents, they were very open. They gave me a free hand that you do. They supported me for every decision, whether I succeeded or I failed. But it was a plus situation for me. And today they are happy. They are proud.
Right. Nice. What about you? 3 challenges.
I think the first and foremost one is making the whole process very, very asset-light. Like in terms of being able to generate more business from what you already have, rather than thinking that the ratio is always going to remain the same. And if you have X carats of inventory with you, this is all you can get from customers as order.
What I am understanding from that is trying to optimize your sales.
In a way, yes, but also I think if you look at the flip side of it, it's more about making the right kind of products to understand what the customers are actually asking for, rather than being like, let's do everything and then see what happens. So I think that's kind of one of the major challenges in a way, which obviously, the solution for it is just scraping all the data that's been collected over the past 10-15 years of the business, understanding which designs work, which don't, and so on and so forth. I think that's the first and foremost one. I think the second
That is like the biggest challenge that I am seeing. Like, what of so many students who are asking us is, we have the data, but we don't have it in a systematic way. Everybody has the data,
Yes.
but they're not paying attention to it. They're not segregating it. They're not segmenting it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't even have an Excel sheet. Like, they are just वो pen and
चिट्ठी.
paper, हाँ, चिट्ठी में है, books में है, contact list में है, पापा के contact list में है. So that's the first step. First bring everything in a database format and then segment.
No, I
Huge
think
problem.
with that regard, I think I was very lucky because this particular business has digital footprint, like proper jewelry software, ERP based digital footprint for the
Nice.
past 12 years.
Nice.
So that data really helps, and just scraping through numbers gives us so many insights out of it. Just to say ki these are kind of the peak months where we really need to focus on sales. These are kind of the months where we have a bit of a slack, so might as well go and focus on the production side of things and prepare for the next couple of months. Or even just understand, what weight range works in what geography. Like the south of India prefers a certain kind of jewelry, whereas the west maybe is a little bit different.
Very different. Yeah.
So that really helps. The data just gives you all the answers. And my background in tech really allows me to do that, where I'm good at using Power BI as an example. So I know how to, clean the data there, how to bring the data there, how to analyze it. Now we have this really pretty dashboard that gives us insights every single week to say, this is what's going on, this is what you need to do, and so on and so forth.
I think your approach is typical, how a corporate should function. You're getting there. At least you've started.
Yeah, and I
doing
think,
that.
like you said, it'll probably take about 5 to 7 years to actually kick in, but then we need to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Right. And right now, maybe the scale at what we are doing it might just be, scraping through 2 or 3 data points, which is obviously a very, very small start. But I think that kind of puts the team into the groove because, again, it was a very, very family type of workplace driven environment, And this is just a very funny story where, everybody is like, Aarj bhai or Aarj sir. I'm like, ya to naam se bula, ya to A bol. Because I do not appreciate being called sir. I do not appreciate being called bhai, at workplace at least. So that was kind of one of my things. And that cultural shock in them to say ki this guy's just come in and he's giving us pieces of technology like it's nothing, which is also something that we need to be very, very kind of,
Sensitive.
sensitive about, because you don't want to put them in a position where they're like, look, we've been here for 10 years, okay? You've just come in here. Like, don't tell us what to do.
So basically, that's exactly where the family business is not the problem, but the people inside the family business who are working for a decade, 2 decades, they sometimes get that, complexity that, okay, this fellow's just come in and he's going to rule, and now I'm not comfortable with the culture which is going to be set. Like, it's a very sensitive thing. Have you faced any of this?
No, not really.
That's really good, yeah.
No, I think that happened with me on day 0.
Daisy.
Not even day 1. Trust me. It happened with me on day 0 because like the team that we have has been extremely loyal, which is a great thing to have.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, I think it was more about, rather than telling them what to do, proving your credibility in certain ways. Even if it is your own family business or whatever, it is something because of the people around it that make it that, right? So I think it was more about showing them that if we do X, these are the kind of Y and Z and A and B and C benefits we'll get out of it, rather than be like, aise karo. Because that doesn't get you anywhere.
Right. Having that conversation is important.
I think
Exactly.
you can take them in confidence and work hand in hand rather than just working alone.
Yeah.
Like you can share your ideas and then you can ask for their inputs as well.
True. And what about the next challenge?
And
One
I think
challenge is done.
I think the last one that I'm facing right now is the whole networking effect around the industry. as in GJEPC, for example, is a huge part of what it does for the industry and everything. And for someone who's not really been in the country or understood the culture or how networking works, I think that has kind of, brought me to a position where I'm like building a network in the industry with the stakeholders of GJEPC or the industry in general. I think that's super important, but that's kind of a challenge for me right now because I sometimes feel like an outlier when I'm talking to people. And that's sheer honesty, because it puts me in a position where I'm used to networking in a certain environment. I'm used to networking in a certain way. I'm used to building bonds a certain way. But here it's
very different.
very different, you know. Especially the first exhibition that I did in January after I came back. I was like so pumped up, we're going to close sales, we're going to drive new customers and everything. Day one, I froze. And that happens to the best of us. And I was like, Dad, I'm going to kill it, okay? And I froze. And then when I went home and I kind of, just went through and reflected on what really happened, it was basically like, I need to first start to get myself well versed to how the whole cultural shift is going to be. So if anyone's just moved from abroad and come back to India, okay, you just need to give yourself at least 6 months to be used to it. Okay, and I'm looking at the camera and saying this because I want people to understand what this really means.
Yeah. In fact, I think if you want to understand the culture of B2B, then just go to Zaveri Bazaar, spend 3-4 months out there only. I think you will get to know everything in and out.
Takes a lot of time, I feel.
Yeah,
in our business, it will take a lot of time. It cannot be quick.
And it's not a quick business also. Like
it's not a quick business. It's a lot of patience that you need to have.
Model is such that you need a lot of patience. You need to understand a lot about your customers. It's not just, having their contact number and that's enough. You need to know. Like I keep saying, there are two people who probably know anything and everything about a family or a particular customer. One is a jeweler and one is a chartered accountant because they know financially kya hai. Jeweler also knows ki kiski shaadi hone wali hai, whose daughter is who and everything. All the inner details about the family is well known. And this will only come when you've spent time. You've spent enough time just understanding the customers.
True.
I think it's not always about sales. There are two types of customers. 80% is sales and 20% who comes to sell their jewelry.
Yeah.
There are two kinds of people. So if they are having trust in your brand, if they are well connected with your sales people, they do share their stories.
Right.
They do share their hardships. And you know what is going on. So they're always, it's just not about sales, I feel.
Yeah. And you're not only selling gold, no, you're selling an experience. You're selling vanity, you're selling a lot of other things as a package. Which are the departments in your business currently where you feel it's still owner driven or it's still, so things that can be automated, things that can be put into a system and you don't need to take care of it. You can focus then on the expansion plans or growth plans. So which are those departments that you feel you need to optimize further?
I think it's the purchase department, merchandising. And the second would be the finance. Finance is the key one and which we are not able still to, we are not able to work on it much. It's still,
Why not?
It's still handled by my father and they are still doing it.
तो होने वाला नहीं.
No, we are working on it. Definitely. But it's his space and I want to develop it, but I don't want to disturb that space for him because this is what he keeps on enjoying. And I respect that as well.
So if he enjoys, then why do you want to?
No, I don't. I don't really want to. But definitely I need some good educated and experienced people as well on board with him. And that combination would be more amazing, I feel.
Right.
For the business. That will do wonders again.
And
I trust him. Whatever he is doing amazing. And it's all because of him. And I take total pride in that. But yeah, someone new who is from the finance background, that will definitely help us. Someone new for the purchase team with good knowledge of products, good knowledge of the new designs, that will definitely help us. Also, there is one more thing that I've been thinking of and I want to work on it. I personally call it as a term of dead term. What happens every year, a jeweler is facing a lot of problems. Suppose the gold rate is going up. the jewelers are stuck, the inventory is stuck, they are not able to have sales. What should a jeweler do? Suppose a natural calamity is coming, has happened. The inventory is stuck, the business is stuck for few months. What should a jeweler do? Suppose there is a situation like COVID. 1 year is gone. What should a jeweler do? The rates are going up. That's an additional bonus for all the jewelers. But you will not sell your jewelry, your existing stock, and cover your expenses. You need to have sales. You need to have good number of sales, and the sale should be measured in kilo terms and not rupee terms, because the gold prices will always go up. So you cannot measure your sales in rupee term. You should measure your sales in kilo terms, and very few people are having amazing sales. So this is a topic where all the jewelers should think. They should sit down and they should work on their business. How, whenever this something like this is happening, what should we do? What steps should we take? And it has to be quick. You cannot waste time thinking. This is something that has to be pre-planned, and you just lock that paper in your safe room or anything, and wherever such thing comes, you just remove and follow those steps.
Like a blueprint should be there in case
100%,
something happens.
100%.
Absolutely.
You can make money when people are not doing anything. You need to be quick. You cannot make losses. You cannot be away from the market, I would say.
You cannot shut shop.
You cannot.
Even if it has to be shut, and at the back end something has to be done.
Your books cannot be in minus.
Absolutely.
If you're not doing business, you are just paying for your marketing, salaries, your overhead expenses, you're running for the factory expenses, everything. Your books will be in minus because you're not having any sales. The market is dead. But you need to have income generation.
But I do see this gap also in the industry right now, especially among a lot of local jewelers. May not be in Mumbai, but we see a lot of these people, say from a Nagpur or a Lucknow and all these places where there is lack of financial prudence. The way they are also running is somewhere they are taking some form of funding and they are running the show. To clear that funding, there's another funding, they're running the show, but eventually they feel they're profitable. Maybe they are. At some point of time, things can just fall down. So somewhere that is one side of things. And obviously when a calamity hits like COVID, we all saw that experience. Few, probably I think 5-10% of the jewelers did extremely well. Obviously uske baad to that September onwards, everybody started doing well. But those 4-5 months, 6 months, I know a lot of people who did video sales and sold a lot of jewelry. So yeah, that makes just made a very, very good point.
Again, I would say tier 1 and tier 2, the family businesses here, I would say. Tier 2 family business are more confident, I feel, in doing business. They are more encouraged. They are more motivated, because now tier 2 places are, competing with tier 1, I would say. There are so many jewelers who have much better systems, much better customer experiences, and they are in tier 2 and not in tier 1. Tier 1 is lacking in their own way. They have space issues. They have a lot of
Crazy space issues.
Yeah, it's there. So many issues are there.
Yeah.
Your salary packages are way high. You want to do things, but you cannot do things because of the expenses. And tier 2 is the expenses are much lesser, and they are taking the advantage and they are providing it to the customers, I would say. And tier 2 jewelers, I think they are ahead. I feel there will be a number of people who are doing much better, and tier 1 still have the percentage unorganized business in tier 1 is much higher than in tier 2, I would say. I'm talking about good size jewelers.
I don't think so.
Good size jewelers, not the small size.
Yeah, good size also, but I don't think so. I think tier 2 is equally suffering or even more. It's just that the growth potential in tier 2 cities are a lot more than tier 1, and that is why we feel that they're doing better.
But competition is less. Tier 1 has crazy competition. Tier 2 doesn't have crazy competition. That is the key point.
That is always going to be.
That is the key point.
Yeah.
And they always have a appreciating land value, XYZ. And I would still stick to that thing.
Yeah,
the family business, they all want to work together in tier 2. They are so motivated that they are pushing their own business. And tier 1 is, I think, a little more relaxed. They are more into social.
They have it all.
Yeah.
Not
they have it
the
all,
hunger
but
is less now.
their concentration is on other things. I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah. Possible.
They're aiming for something much more higher, which is a little difficult to get.
Maybe. What about you?
One is definitely PD,
Product
production side of things, the product development. And the second one's finance. Again, That's kind of a common one because I think that's one thing I think the earlier generations have the hardest time kind of letting go of. It's like नहीं ये तो मैं मेरे ही कंट्रोल में रखूँगा बाकी तुझे चाहिए तो तू लेके जा कुछ भी चाहिए. But I think that's kind of one fear that, and honestly, I do not have the answers to it right now, but it's a process for me to figure out in terms of how we can actually, because there's obviously corporates who do that already, right? So there's definitely systems to do that, but it's obviously a work in progress for us to reach that stage. So that's one. And I think production side of things and the product development is one thing where I think for them to let go of that, it will basically need to come to a point where we've understood our customers and our niche so well that the processes are automated in a way where the designers know exactly what they need to do at what time of the year. And again, updating ourselves with changing trends.
When both of you all are talking about, like when you said purchase, you want to automate purchase department, and when you're saying that, okay, the designers should know what they need to do, don't you think the gap is that you all need a jewelry merchandiser and not a purchase guy?
By purchase, I mean a merchandiser.
Merchandiser.
Yeah, I mean merchandiser. The right term is merchandiser.
So you need the intermediary between your production team and your customer. That is what is.
And they are doing the job for us.
Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to finance, none of you all have a finance background, right?
No.
So that is where
I'm weak with numbers.
that is where the biggest challenge lies. Then to automate becomes a task when you are not aware of
True.
a lot of things, a lot of financial strategies that people are using in our industry.
Yeah.
It does become a challenge.
Actually, it's always also there that someone is already doing, so you don't want to disturb that space and go into it. So if someone is already doing, I have joined business 7 years back, a person is already doing it. So I didn't take much of efforts to go into that space and do something.
And now that rest of the things are streamlined, you want to
Now
also
I can put in more 2-3 years, understand, and then we can streamline that as well.
Yeah, but the best way to automate finance is firstly, if things are already efficiently running. If there are ways that can be improvised, it's a different thing. But if things are already efficiently running, then you can easily just hire somebody with a finance background and ask them to shadow your family member who's managing it and tell them to just follow the same processes. But if it is not, you feel that maybe there is room for optimization, maybe the family member needs to just ease off things, maybe because of age, maybe because of, now it's time to just take things in a relaxed way. And if you want to do that, it's always better to get somebody with an expertise with tech as well as finance, even if not with finance, with tech definitely, because that is where I see a lot of accounting and a lot of GST returns and all these getting automated. Like not even, you don't need to do anything. It's just anyway you are hitting the entries for your sales and everything. Those things are getting accounted for automatically. Your GST bills. A lot of softwares are doing that. I don't see a long-term solution to it. I see the solution very nearby. Like it should take you probably 6 months of rigorous effort and you will be done with it.
Being on the same page is important.
So for that, what you need to do is you need to let them run it on their own. Simultaneously, you are, maybe it's an added expense, but you are also running it on your own. The person who you are setting the system with is also running on their own. Then just match things. Once you match things and they are matching consistently for a few months, and naturally they will be convinced कि नहीं तेरे लोग हो गया काम हो गया. They also need that validation. No यार बच्चा है कुछ गड़बड़ कर लिया तो.
It's again the same point as to like, rather than telling them that what I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, you show them you can do this. And then
now coming to your future plans, like what is the scale at which you are intending to go in the next say 2 or 3 years? I don't know what scale you are at now. If you want to share, you can share that also. And what is the scale that you're targeting?
So definitely opening new stores, getting your back office streamlined completely, where you can run multiple stores.
Right now, how many stores?
Right now, we only have one store. We are planning more in future. Then the new collections, I would say, new category we want to launch, CVD, which has taken place.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So definitely, but not in the same store. But
why not?
Not in the same store. We are.
This is like, I'm just asking you questions where
Yeah.
the world wants to know right now. Like, the world in gems and jewels
I
wants to
think the reason is not in the same store because it's not the right customer market that we have right now. I think every category have a market to it, and where we
in
are,
the
it's-
area where you are.
I think it cannot be
Yeah,
because
true.
it cannot be the CVD market. But yeah, I do see some potential in that product, and why not? There is always a scope for new things. You should always try. That is the bridge that directly take goods from manufacturing and skip the wholesalers that we have to work on. That is the future. So that how you can reduce your purchase cost and give that benefit to the customer end user.
That's really challenging to do, no? Because
It is, but this is what business is. You
Right.
need to do. You have no option. If you want to stay in the business, you have to give right price to the customers. If otherwise, you'll be out of the business because if corporates are taking over, the prices that in which they are getting goods, future there will be that they can dominate the market by the prices and nothing else because their purchasing is very strong. And definitely you must be knowing they would be getting more margins in single store owners, and I don't think there is big margins in corporates. So this is where you need to get your purchasing strong, and the end clients you have to give good pricing, I feel.
do you see corporates somewhere hurting you? Maybe
Yes.
distantly or maybe closely?
Strongly, yes.
Strongly. Okay.
Strongly, yes. So now again, what the trust, the family name, legacy, it totally depends on your brand. Now the young generation is what's there on social media, what's there on their marketing, what's their new, where they are liking the customer experience, they will go. And they want to try corporate experience. They want to go to Tanish, they want to try, they want to see how the store is, what variety they have. So you need to work like a corporate, you need to be updated, you need to have good price points. You need to be on your feet right now for doing business, a jewelry business. Earlier I thought it is relaxed, but now year by year you need to be strong and focused in your.
Makes sense. What about you?
I think it's too soon for me to be thinking about expansion and scaling.
Yeah, you've just entered.
Yeah, but I think one domain that I kind of flipped a little bit because I read a lot in terms of insights and numbers and data, and I think gem and jewelry was one of the industries from India where the number for exports dropped.
23% almost.
So from 2013-14, it dropped from about 46 million USD to about 32 million USD last year, which is something that kind of got me thinking and dive deep into understanding what's the problem. And in fact, it was then going around and talking to people and understanding what the real problem is. And it's just one of those things where the manufacturers here kind of realized that they were not able to keep up to the continuously changing trends in the West or wherever you go, in other parts of Asia as well. So I think for me, the focus for the next year or so is just understanding the international markets, especially the likes of UAE, Australia, UK, and the US after that. So more or less traveling across these destinations just to understand how the expos work there and just understanding how people kind of click and what clicks them. For example, working with the Irish and the British market, it has given me enough exposure to understand what clicks people. Maybe not with regards to this industry, but look, people buy from people. They don't buy the product. And that's something that's been said a million times before. So I think just understanding the aspect of exports and diving deeper into it is something that I'm definitely keen on doing.
And I think it has a huge potential. Exports from India has huge potential. And as you said, India used to rank, I think 6-7 years back, India used to rank second in terms of jewelry
Number
exports.
3, yes, number 3.
Number 3. And now I think today they are number 6. And Turkey is also ahead.
Turkey is amazing.
And
Turkey is doing absolutely great.
Yeah. So it is definitely huge scope. The ranking you mentioned in terms of countries, I think anybody who wants to start exports, start with US. That's the easiest country to penetrate. Even if you're a B2C exporter or a B2B exporter, I think US it's just easy. It's just easier, much easier to penetrate than any other market. Another high potential market, obviously Middle East, UK, Japan. These are traditional markets where India is already exporting to.
Yes.
A very high potential, growth potential market is Far East. Look at Malaysia, look at Indonesia, look at Vietnam. These are people whose the splurging has just
Yes.
begun in the last 3 to 5 years.
Like the people there are now starting to actually spend on luxury.
Exactly. The GDP per capita is going strong. It's getting better and better. The expenditure in general that they are doing is far more than an average Indian. So these markets are really have very good high potential
Interesting.
in the next 5 to 10 years. And this is the research that we've been doing since almost a decade now. We are studying all these markets. Another market for very good potential is Brazil. Very far off. But first tap into the Eastern markets
Yeah.
and then think of all
Yes.
these other markets.
So,
But
as I told you before, that if you have your right purchase, so ideology for the right purchase was for exports. So we have, out of the few categories, we have already started the exports of some categories.
B2C,
B2B.
B2B.
Because my purchase is right.
Oh,
So I'm
interesting.
quitting on the traders, and we have already started a few. And B2C, B2B, both. B2C, we have a good hold in Middle East, and B2B also we will start soon. And we have already started, I would say.
Nice.
So if your purchase is strong, you always have a upper hand. So basically, I'm not just a retailer, I am a B2B guy also with the same stock. So I'm having a better turnaround for my own stock. So it's
Nice.
a plus situation.
Interesting. Any last thoughts?
I think just adding to that, I think another plan that I think I see a lot of corporate jewelers getting into, and I think that's one advantage that we personally have as a brand in a certain niche, is starting a D2C brand, but sticking to the basics, is not going ahead, creating a logo, putting a color scheme, building a website, putting social media posts, and that's that. It never works. It used to 5 years back,
Yeah,
7
not
years back.
anymore.
Now it doesn't work anymore because it's just so noisy. So I think that's one thing that I genuinely want to focus on, but it needs to have a very, very clear USP and proposition for people to say that if you want X product, you need to come here, or else we don't have what you want. And I think that's one thing that I really want to focus on as well as we move ahead as a company and business, because I think the whole concept of having these mini stores at malls, it kind of is something that really fits well in my head with regards to numbers. Like on a more macroeconomic level, when I crunch numbers, it makes more sense to me, where you do not have to stock too much inventory, but you can still create an experience for people, especially with lightweight jewelry.
Nice. In the last bit, you all have just shocked me, B2C retail says somebody is doing B2B exports. You have aspirations of exports as well as a D2C brand. Very interesting. Young
think
India is talking.
For sales, every day you have a new potential.
Yeah, true.
You just have to identify and you have to work on it.
बेचने वाला चाहिए.
Just have
Unlimited
people around you who
channels.
can do it for you. I would
Unlimited
say.
channels.
In
If
fact,
you have the right people.
Every day आप कुछ कर सकते हो.
Yeah, true, very true. In fact, I've been saying this since years now, but I see a lot of potential for corporate gifting. Jewelry as a corporate
Yes.
gift. I don't know why not many brands are still doing it, but every corporate, not in our industry, but in general, every corporate IT and finance and their HRs are always looking at how do we incentivize the employee. How do we do that? There are people are giving iPhones, people are giving
This,
accessories depending on the designation. So why is jewelry not being pitched enough? We have seen a lot of international brands doing that already in India, but domestic brands somewhere I'm seeing much less.
They are lacking,
Tanishq is
yeah.
doing, CaratLane is doing, but we need more of you guys to do it.
No, absolutely.
Okay, thanks Aarj, thanks Raunak, thank you so much for being here. And if you have anything to share, do let us know.
I'm looking forward for new courses at JK Institute. I want to apply.
You can.
But guys, seriously, you should learn something. Go, just apply for the course, and it's amazing. It has given me a lot of benefits, honestly. Whatever you have taught me, sir, it has helped me, and it was a turnaround for me. And that's why I'm always in touch with you. I totally respect whatever knowledge you have given me. Thank you for this.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I think for me, even though it's been a very, very long time since I spent time at JK and with Sir, but I think the one thing that I really appreciate, and I think this came up at the start as well, is just the environment that we create in the class. Okay, it might have evolved, in the last few years or whatever, but I think it does not really feel like a classroom. Okay, it's more of a place where like-minded people come together, and it's like the whole round table atmosphere that we've created. I think it just gives you an opportunity to not just learn the whole academia side of things, but it also puts you in a position where you're getting to interact with people from the industry that you normally wouldn't have. Especially if you attended like college, you wouldn't really get that opportunity. And again, considering the fact that JK doesn't just have students from Mumbai, but like from all over India. I'm sure now it's gone global as well.
More than 40 countries. Huh?
Wow.
But
Wow.
thank you so much. And I think the culture still remains the same.
Wow.
We still do that. We still have a round table atmosphere. Do come in whenever you can.
100%. Thank you.